Hi yogis, welcome to week 4 and congratulations on finishing the first 3 videos in this series and moving on to the final video in this beginner yogi workshop series. And I hope that you've enjoyed learning a little bit about the vinyasa practice and some of the basic postures that are common in the practice that we enjoy as the flow practice. This is by no means where it ends. There are so many more postures and so many more ways to get creative with the flow. This series, what you have learned is the basic form of the postures. And by that I mean, where are your hands, where are your feet, how do you move from posture to posture, what should you be thinking about in terms of basic alignment in each pose. And there is so much more to dissect and learn and experience in your own body in this practice with each pose. So I hope that you will continue learning, find a teacher near you, find classes online that you enjoy, and keep learning about yoga because it is an amazing tool and a great technique that we have available to us to help us be happier in our lives and also to know ourselves at a deeper level. So this week we are going to wrap up our beginner series with the last few bits in this series, and what we're going to focus on primarily is adding to our knowledge of the Sun Salutation series by practicing what's called Surya Namaskar B. So we've been practicing Surya Namaskar A so far, Sun Salutation A, and this week we're going to learn the B series, which is very close to Sun A, but it does have some significant differences. So we're going to learn that series of postures. We're also going to learn a few more flows in and out and just practice flowing a little bit more. And we're also going to learn at the very end the very, very preparatory stages to a basic arm balance called Bakasana. And we'll also learn how to start to approach a headstand practice. And we won't go too far down this road, but at least you'll have a little introduction and something to work on for when it is time for you to work on those elements of your practice, which are really fun and have tremendous benefits. So let's join our intentions in a seated position to begin our practice. So find a comfortable seat. This can either be Sukhasana, ankles crossed, or you can bring your shins one in front of the other in Siddhasana. Bring your hands to your thighs, lift up tall through your spine, and close your eyes. Take these first few breaths to connect to the feeling of your breath in the belly. Start to cultivate Ujjayi breath, the sound of the ocean at the back of your throat. And make your inhales and your exhales of equal length. So if you're breathing in for 4 counts or 6 counts, then breathe out for 4 counts or 6 counts, so that there's a balancing and an evenness between your inhales and your exhales. Good. On your next inhale, bring your hands together at the center of your heart. We'll chant just one Om to begin our practice. Take a deep breath in. Exhale all the breath out through your mouth. Inhale. Om. bow your head to your heart and set an intention for your practice. To try to stay present, stay connected to your breath, and to keep your thoughts positive. So practice during this series of postures, even as you are a beginner and you are learning and perhaps struggling a little bit, practice self-acceptance. Know that where you are in your journey is exactly where you should be. Relax your hands to your thighs, lift your chin, and open your eyes. My favorite posture to start in for pretty much every practice that I do almost is child's pose. So let's start there. Come to your hands and knees. Separate your knees a little bit wider than your hips. Bring your big toes together at the back of your mat. Push your hands down and forward and shift your hips back towards your heels. And then when you get there, drop your head and rest your forehead on the ground. You can stack your fists if you'd like, or stack your palms to rest. Breathe into the back of your waistline. Stretch your hands forward on your inhale. Rise up to all fours. So bring your knees under your hips again, wrists under your shoulders, and spread your fingers wide so there's an evenness in your fingers. Root down through the L of your index finger and your thumb. Tuck your toes behind you so there's an anchoring down on the inner edges of your body. And this is really important to hug toward the midline. So we're pressing down through the index finger and the thumb, and we're pressing down through the big toe mounds of the feet. On your inhale, drop your belly and look forward. Lift your chin, lift your sit bones up. On your exhale, push the hands down and round your belly, or round your back up to the sky. Belly draws in. Inhale, drop your belly, arch your back, lift your chin. Exhale, push down and round the back. Inhale, lengthen forward. And this time as you exhale, hover the knees and then shift your weight back. So push your hands down. We're coming towards downward facing dog. Knees stay bent to start, so the belly is pressing towards your thighs. And then drop your head and slowly start to stretch your legs towards straight. It's okay if your knees are bent. And then bend the right knee, let your left heel come down to the floor. Switch sides, bend your left knee, right heel towards the floor. And again, bend the right knee, left heel to the floor. And then bend the left knee, right heel to the floor. Bend both knees, inhale, sit bones to the sky, and exhale, push the heels towards the floor, tops of the thighs pressing back behind you. Look forward towards your hands. Walk your feet to the top of your mat. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. Take as many steps as you need to get to the top of the mat. So we're ending in Utkatasana, forward fold. So this, as you recall, 2 fists between your feet for hip width distance apart, and your feet face straight forward like they're on train tracks. Belly is on the thighs, hands to the floor or to your shins. You can also use blocks under your hands to bring the floor up to meet you. And then let your head drop. On your next inhale, lift up to a flat back so your palms can come to your shins. And then exhale, fold again. Drop your head. Bring your hands to your hips, squeeze the elbows up towards the sky, root into your feet, and inhale, rise all the way up to stand. Padagustasana. Hands at your heart. Inhale here, and exhale. We're going to start with 1 Surya Namaskar A. So with your inhale, drop your arms, and then inhale, reach up, Gaze at your thumbs. Maybe your palms will come to touch. Exhale, swan dive forward over your legs. Uttanasana. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Hands to the floor or to blocks. Inhale, lengthen the spine, half lift, flat back. Chin is lifted. And exhale, fold. If you're using blocks, shift them off to the side. Place your hands next to your feet and bend your knees deeply, and then step your left leg back into a lunge, all the way back to the back of your mat. The back leg is straight here, as straight as you can get it. And then we'll plant the hands, so fingers are spread wide, and then step the right leg back into plank position, top of a push-up. Inhale here. Exhale, we're gonna come down to the belly, knees come to the floor, and then chest and chin come to the floor. Okay, so looks like this. Knees, chest, and chin on the floor. Seat is lifted, elbows are in towards the body. Then slide down onto your belly, untuck the toes, inhale, lift up through the chest. Hover your hands. Exhale, plant the hands next to your ribs, tuck the toes behind you. Press up into all fours, and then lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. Inhale, and exhale. Inhale, spread your fingers wide. And exhale, push the hands down and forward to lift the sit bones to the sky. Inhale, spin the sitting bones to the sky, inner thighs moving back. And exhale, draw the ribs in. Nice smooth inhales. Smooth exhales. Bring your feet together at the back of your mat. Inhale, lift up high onto the balls of your feet. Bend your knees and look forward. At the bottom of your exhale, walk your feet to the top of your mat. Uttanasana, forward fold. Feet are hip-width distance or a little closer. They're parallel to each other. Inhale, lengthen the spine, flat back, palms to shins, and exhale, fold. Reverse swan dive. Inhale, reach out and all the way up. Gaze at your thumbs. And exhale, hands together at your heart. Anjali Mudra. Inhale here. And exhale, release your arms. Okay, we're going to move into Surya Namaskar B. So this time we're going to bring the feet together, big toes together, little space between your heels. We start with chair pose, Utkatasana. So take an inhale here, hands at your heart. And with your exhale, sit down like you're sitting in a chair. So bend your knees deeply, sitting bones move back, draw your ribs in. With your inhale, reach your arms straight out in front of you from your shoulders. If you want to go a little further, arms can be up alongside your ears. But if it's too much for your shoulders, keep them straight out in front of you. Inhale here. Squeeze your knees together. Exhale, fold over your legs, straighten the legs. Uttanasana, towards straight anyway. Inhale, lengthen your spine, half lift. And exhale, fold. Hands next to your feet, bend your knees. Step your right leg back into a lunge. So again, that right leg is super straight and strong, as straight as you can get it. Long lunge. Place your hands, step back, plank pose, top of a push-up. Inhale here. And exhale, lower your knees to the floor. This time we're going to come down with a straight body. Lead with your belly button. Shoulders are pulling away from the floor, all the way down. Untuck your toes. Inhale, press into your hands. Rise up, cobra pose. Exhale, lower down. Tuck your toes. Strengthen your knees away from the floor. Inhale here. And then exhale, push down, send your sitting bones to the sky, downward facing dog. Bring your feet together at the back of your mat. Anchor down into your left foot. Lift your right leg high. Inhale, down dog split. Exhale, bring your thigh to your chest. Shift your shoulders over your wrists. Core plank. Inhale, stretch back. Down dog split. Exhale, core plank. So thigh to your chest, shoulders over the wrist. Look between your hands and step your feet between your hands. If it doesn't get there, just use your right hand on the back of your right heel to shift it forward. So your right foot is towards your right thumb. And then we're going to turn the back heel down for Warrior One. So Warrior One, the hips are square towards the front of the room, or towards square anyway. So it's not that open hip version like Warrior Two. This is the hips forward and square. So squeeze your inner thighs together so that your right hip moves back, left hip moves forward. And then with your inhale, reach the arms up. Warrior One. Exhale, touch the hands down, frame the front foot. Pick up your back heel. We're going to step back to plank pose. Inhale here. And exhale, lower the knees to the floor, leading with the belly button. Come all the way down to the belly. Untuck your toes, shoulders away from the earth. Inhale, rise up. Cobra. Exhale, lower down. Tuck your toes, lift the knees away from the floor. Inhale here. Exhale, push down, lift the sit bones to the sky, downward facing dog. Bring your feet together at the back of your mat. Anchor down into the right foot. Inhale, lift the left heel. Down dog split. Exhale, thigh to chest, shoulders over the wrist, core plank. Inhale, stretch back. Down dog split. Exhale, thigh to chest, shoulders over the wrist, gaze between the hands, step foot between the hands. So it's really over towards the left hand that you're stepping. And then spin the back heel down again for Warrior One. So the back toes are pointing on a 45-degree angle forward. Squeeze your inner thighs together so that your hips become more square. And then inhale, rise up. Warrior One, Virabhadrasana One. Exhale, touch your hands down. We're going to take one more vinyasa, so pick up your back heel, step back to plank, inhale here. Exhale, lower your knees to the floor, leading with the belly button, lower all the way down to the belly. Untuck your toes, inhale, rise up, cobra pose. Exhale, lower down. Tuck your toes behind you, lift the knees away from the floor, inhale, and exhale, push the hips up high, downward facing dog. Inhale here, and exhale. Bring your feet together at the back of your mat. Inhale, lift your hips high, look forward, bend your knees. Now we're going to try hopping. So at the bottom of your exhale, hop towards the front of the mat. Take as many hops as you need to. Hop again. Good. When you get to the top, you're in your forward fold. Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen your spine, half lift, palms to shins. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, sit back. Inhale, rise up. Utkatasana, arms straight out in front of you or alongside your ears. Exhale, stand up, hands to your heart, Anjali Mudra. Inhale here. And exhale, release your arms. Okay, so that was Surya Namaskar B. Now we're going to add in another couple of flows using our Surya Namaskar A as a foundation, and we'll add on some new poses, some new shapes that we may not have done before. So we'll see how it goes. Enjoy your breath, do what you can, and remember that self-acceptance and staying connected to the breath. That's your main job. So standing at the top of the mat, hands at your heart. Inhale here. And exhale, release your arms. Let's interlace the hands behind the back. Squeeze the elbows towards each other. Inhale, lift up through the heart. Exhale, sit back. So it's like you're sitting in Utkatasana. Maybe you stretch your arms towards straight, lift up through the heart. Inhale here. And exhale, fold over your thighs. Start to straighten your legs. You can put some more space between your feet so they're hip width distance. So you're in a bound Uttanasana. Drop your hands to the earth. Inhale, lengthen your spine, half lift. And exhale, fold. Place your hands next to your feet, bend your knees, step your left leg back into a lunge. Let's bring the back knee down to the ground. Left hand will stay down on the ground. Right hand to the right thigh. And then push your right hand into the thigh to twist to the right. Belly draws in, turning the right shoulder blade onto the back, and then maybe reach the right arm up for a twist. Exhale, frame the front foot, pick up your back knee, and then turn your back heel down to the ground for warrior two. We're going to spin that back heel down. Remember that the front heel bisects the arch of the back foot. Place your right hand on your right thigh, windmill the arm up, left arm up, and then reach the right arm out, warrior two. Inhale here. Exhale, sit a little bit deeper in the front thigh. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Knock your right hip back. We're moving towards Trikonasana, so the right hip draws back. Left inner thigh rolls back behind you. Reach out, so hinging forward, you're trying to reach that wall in front of you, coming down for Trikonasana. So the right hand comes to the right shin or to a block if it's handy. If your hand is on the shin, push the shin up into the hand. Let's place the left hand on the block. So push down through the big toe mound of your right foot, lift the right shin up into the hand, so you put a little micro bend in that leg, and then turn the left shoulder blade onto the back. So belly and the chest is spinning to the sky, and then reach the left arm up. If you'd like to take this a little further, you're going to turn the palm to face the front of the room and take the left arm over your ear. This is Utkatasana Trikonasana. Reach the left arm up. With your inhale, root into your feet, rise up. Hands to your hips. Let's parallel the feet. Take a wide-legged forward fold here. So interlace your hands this time behind your back. Inhale, lift up through the heart. And exhale, little bend in your knees. Start to fold forward. And then let's release the hands. Hands will come underneath the shoulders. So again, if you'd like to use blocks under your hands, blocks can be a great way to bring the floor up to meet you. So the back is flat here, lengthening your spine, little bend in the knees, and fold forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine. And then exhale, we're going to walk the hands around to the back of the mat. Okay, so this is a little tricky. We're moving in a little bit of a circular flow here for this part of the practice. So you should be facing the back of the mat. The left foot is in the front and the right foot is behind you in a lunge. Let's bring the back knee down to the ground. Right knee to the ground. We're going to take our twist here. So right hand stays down on the ground. Left hand to your left thigh. Push the left hand into the thigh. Turn the belly. We're twisting to the left. Left shoulder blade moving back. And then reach the left arm up. With your exhale, bring both hands down to frame the left foot. Pick up your back knee. Let's turn the back foot down. So we're coming into warrior two. Front heel, left heel is bisecting the arch of your back foot. Left hand to your left thigh. With an inhale, windmill the arm up and back. So the right arm is reaching back behind you. Left arm stretches out in front of you. Make sure that your arms are even so they're not too high, not too low. Reaching straight out from the shoulders. Inhale here, squeeze the energy into the midline. And with your exhale, sit down deeper into the front thigh. Inhale, straighten the front leg. And then let's bring this hip movement into Trikonasana again by knocking the left hip back. The right inner thigh spins back behind you. Reach forward through the left fingertips, inhale, and then when you've reached as far forward as you can, then hinge forward and down. So the hand will come to the shin, right hand to the right hip. Left hand to the left shin. Push the shin into the hand so that you take out any hyperextension, and then turn the right shoulder blade back. Belly spins up to the sky. Reach the right arm up. Root down into both of your feet. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands at your hips and parallel your feet. Let's heel toe the feet a little bit closer towards each other. And we're going to grab a prop. Okay? So maybe you have a blanket nearby. We're going to come into Balansana, which is a pose we did last time. And we're going to use this to prepare for a little arm balance play. Okay, so take your feet. First, we're just going to do Balansana, and then we'll move on. We'll use a couple of blocks and some other props. So your feet are, your heels are on the blanket. Feet are wider than hip width distance. If you want to turn your feet out, you can to give yourself some more space. And then we're going to come down into a squat. So squatting is very important, very nice way to open up the hips and just get some mobility here. If you have issues getting down here, don't worry, it will come. The more you practice, the more your body starts to open, the easier this will get. So be patient with yourself. Another great opportunity to practice self-acceptance and your breath. So over time, you'll start to move your feet more towards parallel. If you want to, if you find that you're leaning forward like this, it's fine. That's a great hip opener. So you can really have your heels quite high and lean forward on your hands just to get this feeling of the inner hips, inner thighs opening up. Eventually though, you do want to start to root down into the heels, and that's why the blanket is there, to give you something to press into. So if your heels are comfortably on the blanket, then you can bring your hands together at your heart. So the arms are on the insides of the knees. Knees press in towards the midline, and the arms press out against the knees. Lengthen up through your heart and breathe. Okay, release the hands down. Lift the hips up. So remember our forward fold again, bend your knees as much as you need to. Place your hands on your hips, squeeze the elbows to the sky. Inhale, rise up. Tadasana. All right, so we're gonna come back into that posture, but we're gonna use some props and we're gonna do a little tiny prep for an arm balance called Bakasana. So this is not an easy pose, so don't worry if this takes you a year or two to find some flight. But there are some tips, some things that will make it easier. And just so that you know how to approach the pose, this is a nice way that I like to teach beginners how to do this pose. So I have 2 blocks here. You could use books if you have those at home. And you're gonna stand on the blocks, okay? This is like a little nest. And in front, I have a blanket, which is my crash pad, very important. So I'm gonna come down into my squat. I'm just gonna bend my knees, and my knees are together to start with, and my feet are lined up, and then I'm gonna separate my knees. And you'll notice that I have the inner edges of my feet together. And it's not just my toes that are together, it's actually my inner heels as well. So the whole inner line of my feet are together. Then my crash pad needs to be out in front of me. And by the way, you could use a bolster or a pillow or something bigger than a blanket. If it makes you feel more confident and more secure, that's completely fine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna place our hands down on the floor, and I'll move this for a moment just so you can see. So my hands are spread wide, and it's just like our downward facing dog alignment, actually. So my fingers are spread wide, and I'm rooting down through the index finger and the L of my fingers. And even more than in downward facing dog, I'm actually clawing the floor. I'm trying to use my finger pads to pull, okay? Then from here, I'll move my crash pad out in front of me. I want my gaze, this is very important, what I'm looking at, I want my gaze point to be in a triangle shape, the top of a triangle with my hands. So I have my hands and I want my gaze forward, not back. If I look back at my feet, I will roll over forward. So you really want to be looking forward in that triangle shape. So from here, once I have my hands set up, shoulder width apart, gripping the floor, fingers spread wide, then I'm going to lift up high through my hips. Okay, and you have to play with where your hands want to be. You may have to shift them forward or back. So hips are high, breathe into the back of your waistline, and then start to bring the knees towards the backs of the arms. And my gaze is forward. I have my crash pad there if I need it. I'm going to pick up the right foot, squeeze it in towards the midline, put it back down. Pick up the left foot, squeeze it in towards the midline, put it back down. Maybe I can pick up both, squeeze the inner edges of my feet together and push down. If I roll, I hit my crash pad. So you can play with that, okay? Again, it takes a lot of practice to come. So don't worry if you don't find flight the first time. There's a lot of actions. We'll probably do another class on that just to break that down. But just so you have some exposure to it, that's the pose. Okay, we're going to step off the blocks. Move the blocks off to the side. Move the blanket to the side. And we're just going to take a wrist stretch. So come down to your knees after that arm balance. And several chaturangas. Maybe you're feeling this in the wrist. So take your right wrist and make a fist, left hand in front of you, and then just stretch the fist into your left hand. Should feel pretty good. And then open the right hand and use the left fingers to stretch the right forearm. I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time on the computer and my forearms and wrists are pretty tight. And so I find that doing these stretches, let's switch side, left fist into the right hand. Doing these stretches really helps to loosen up the forearms and the wrists. And then open the left palm, use the right hand to stretch the left fingers down. Okay, and release and just shake your hands. All right, great job, yogis. So we're gonna move into our final postures for this practice. And the next pose that we're gonna do is a prep for headstand. And we're not gonna go too far with this, but I do want you to have some exposure to something that you can work on when you're given the opportunity to practice headstand that is safe, and you'll be working towards the actions of headstand. So we will not go into handstand at all today, but this pose, rabbit pose, will help you to feel what it's like to have the crown of your head on the floor with absolutely no weight bearing on it. Just that feeling of pressing the crown of the head down into the ground, and help you feel where that should be. And it also will develop some core strength, which is important for inversions like headstand. So rabbit pose, and this is also a wonderful stretch for the back of the spine. It's one of my favorite poses. So we start kneeling, and bring your hands behind you. You're cupping, you're gonna try to cup your hand around each heel. So the thumb is on the outside of your foot and the fingers wrap around the heel. Okay, so you're gonna do that with each hand. It's kind of hard to get the grip when you're sitting on your heels, but you'll start to be able to get the grip as we move into the pose. So looking forward, tuck your chin in towards your chest. And then your eyelashes, we're gonna aim the eyelashes for the knees. So we're going to start to round forward. Belly is in. You'll feel this really soon, really early in as you start to round in. Eyelashes towards your knees. And then you can get this grip around your heels. Your forehead will come to the floor. And then we'll rise back up. Inhale. Okay, we're going to add on now. But first we're going to find the placement of the crown of the head. So take your thumbs and place your thumbs in your ears, and then take your middle fingers up around the top of your head. And then where your middle fingers meet, that soft spot, that's the crown of your head. That's where we're aiming for when we're going to put the head on the ground, the forehead, the top of the head on the ground. This is like the soft spot that babies have on the crown of their head. That's really what's pressing down into the ground. Okay, so keep that in mind when we come to rabbit pose again. So hands around your heels, tuck your chin in toward your chest, round forward, eyelashes towards your knees. And then when you get to the bottom, as tight in as you can, the forehead will come down to the ground and lift your hips up. You'll start to roll onto the top of your head. Your arms will straighten. So you're pulling with your hands against your heels. Belly in. Crown of the head pushes down. And then bring your hips back towards your heels. Hands next to your knees. Inhale, lift your chin out of your chest, and then rise all the way up to sit. Hands on your thighs. So that is rabbit pose, and again, it's a great prep for headstand. So to close out our practice, we're going to take Supta Padagustasana. So come to sit. Lots of room behind you to roll back. So check that. Move the props off to the side a little bit here. Okay, anchor your big toes down to the ground. Make sure your feet are hip-width distance apart. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, roll down for 5, 4, 3. Keep your big toes down. 2, and 1. So nice to get to the floor. Okay, walk your heels in a little bit. We'll take one bridge pose. So bring your feet close enough in towards your seat so that you can just tickle your heels with your fingertips. Bring your hands to your pelvis. Inhale here. Exhale all the breath out. And at the bottom of your exhale, lift your hips up. And then maybe, excuse me, we'll bring the hands underneath, interlace the fingers, and roll one shoulder and then the other underneath your back. Keep your knees from falling out by pressing them towards each other so that they're parallel. Push down through the big toe mounds, lift the hips up. And then release the hips down, unwind the fingers, take the shoulders out. One hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and close your eyes and breathe. Let's bring the right knee in towards the chest. Keep the left foot on the floor. Interlace your hands around the front shin and just pull your knee in a little bit. And then from here, bring the left hand to the top of the left thigh. Right peace fingers, so your middle finger and your pointer finger around your big toe. So you hold on to with your peace fingers, scooping up the big toe from the inside of the toe, and then the thumb wraps around those two peace fingers. Then hug your right knee in toward the midline of your body. So you either stay here, maybe stretching the left leg straight to the floor. The whole left leg stays active, so flex your left foot, push the left heel down to the floor, and the top of the left thigh gets heavy. So the right leg can stay bent like this, hugging in towards the midline. Otherwise, you might start to stretch it towards straight. But don't worry about it too much. The point is not to get the legs straight. The goal of your whole life is not to get the legs straight. So don't stress about it. Keep the leg bent if you need to keep more space in the hamstring. And breathe, relax. Let's release that leg and stretch it all the way down to the floor. Just take a moment to feel the difference between the right leg and the left leg. Whenever I do this, I feel like my right leg is about 1 to 2 inches longer than my left leg. Let's bend both knees. And then bring the left knee in. Hands around the front shin, just draw the knee in. Right hand to your right thigh, left peace fingers, scoop up the left toe from the inside, and then wrap the left thumb around the peace fingers. And then draw the left knee in toward the midline. So you're squeezing the knee, like in crow pose actually, or Balansana where we squeeze the knees against the arms. It's the same action. So hug that leg in. Maybe stretch the right leg towards straight. Flex the right toes up towards the sky. Anchor the right heel and even the top of the right thigh down towards the floor. Stay here with your left leg bent. Maybe start to move it towards straight. Again, just work with what you have. So whatever you come to on this day, because sometimes we can do something one day and the next day it eludes us. So we have to learn to be okay with where our bodies are going to take us and work within our practice on that day. And release both legs to the floor, nice and slow. And again, feel your legs. Last pose before Shavasana is Happy Baby. So bend your knees. Lift your knees up in towards your chest and wrap your hands around the fronts of your knees. So you can stay here. You might start to bring the knees out towards the sides of the body with your hands around your knees. You might bring the arms to the insides of the knees and then flex your feet. Hold on to the outside edges of your feet with your hands. And then we'll stretch the soles of the feet up towards the sky. Knees are coming to the outsides of your torso. And then instead of letting your seat lift up like this, anchor your sitting bones or your tailbone down towards the floor so that the spine gets long. You can find a gentle rocking from side to side in Happy Baby, Ananda Balansana. And then let's release, bring your knees in towards your chest, hug your chin or your forehead up towards your knees. Give yourself a squeeze. So hugging everything in towards the center. And then gently, let's release into Shavasana. So stretch one leg at a time out along the mat. Let your feet flop out to the sides. Roll your shoulders onto the earth. Hands next to your hips with your palms facing up in a gesture of receiving the benefits of your practice. Close your eyes and release the effort of your practice. And rest in the sweetness of Shavasana. If you can stay longer in Shavasana, please do so. If you need to finish your practice, start to find some gentle movement of your fingers and your toes as you lengthen out your breath. Bend your knees and gently roll over onto your right side and cradle your head in your right arm. Use your arms to lift yourself up into a seat. And again, find either Sukhasana, ankles crossed, or Siddhasana, shins in front of one another. Hands to your knees, your thighs, or just gently rested in your lap. Take a moment to breathe and reflect on where your body is now, how your breath has shifted, and what the quality of your thoughts are like. What's the quality of your consciousness after your practice? Bring your hands together at the center of your heart. Offering gratitude towards this time that we have for practice. And knowing that it doesn't have to be perfect. Your space in your home where you practice doesn't have to be perfect. Your execution of the poses doesn't have to be perfect. All that is required is a full effort and an intention to create a clarity in the body, and a settling of the mind, and a deep quality of the breath. Namaste. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for sitting and for showing up. And you sit, you practice, you breathe for all of those who have not yet taken their seat. So with profound gratitude, I thank you. Namaste.